For most dog owners, their pets are the biggest part of their lives. They come before everything. Even if in their physical form, they're fairly tiny, but it's their personalities that usually make them huge. But some dogs are actually truly massive. From a dog that easily towers over you, and one that has the floppiest ears of all time, to one that could literally Hulk smash anyone. Here are 10 of the largest dogs in the world. Number 10. Zeus. Zeus is the type of dog that if you're just walking down the street and see him, you're literally going to think that he's a smaller horse. That's not just us. That's actually a question his owners get all the time. People genuinely wonder where his saddle is when they see him, and others have even tried to put their small children on him. You might think that all of this is a little exaggerated, but that's not the case. Zeus is actually massive. From his toes to shoulders, he measured an impressive 44 inches. To put that into perspective on how big that is for a dog, that's about the same size as a donkey. And that's when he's on all fours. When Zeus stands up on 2 feet, he's almost 7.5 feet tall, so he can easily tower over anyone. And all that size doesn't come on its own. Zeus weighs an impressive 155 pounds. To keep that massive weight up though, he eats 30 pounds of dog food every single day. That's the amount that most dogs would eat in a month. His size was so impressive that he even set a world record for it in 2012. Number 9. Lou. Coon dogs aren't typically the dog you think of when we're talking about the largest dogs in the world, so you might be surprised to see one on this list. But Lou isn't like all the other coon dogs. She's special. Even though Lou's owner had her for a really long time, it wasn't until she was extremely bored under lockdown that she decided that she was going to measure her astronomically long ears. And when she did, she was shocked. Each of her ears measured at 13 inches, combined giving her an ear span of about 30 inches. That's bigger than the size of most dogs' entire bodies. When Lou is sitting upright, they don't really look like they get in her way a lot, but when she walks, they end up dragging across the floor most of the time. It got so bad that in the snowy months, her owner actually puts on her ear warmer for her head to keep them protected from the snow. Lou currently holds the Guinness World Record for being the dog with the longest ears ever recorded. Before we move on, we've got a speed challenge for you. If you subscribe to Facts Junkie and hit the bell icon in the next 5 seconds, you'll win 10 years of incredible luck. Give it a shot. It actually works. Number 8. Kion. There are a couple of ways you can measure dogs. While most dogs are massive in terms of their size from their toes to their withers, other dogs are massive because of how long they are. Kion is one of those dogs. Most Irish wolfhounds are an insane 7 feet in length when you measure them from tip of their nose to the tip of their tail. But Kion has another 2 feet on those dogs because he literally has the longest tail on a dog ever. In 2017, his owners had him measured and found out that his tail alone was 30 inches in length, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. When comparing it to something else, 30 inches is the same as 2 bowling pins stacked on top of one another, and that's just Kion's tail. Although Kion is a very happy dog, his happiness can end up being a little dangerous too, because he wags his tail like there is no tomorrow. When the tail is that massive, one wag could smack someone straight off the ground. Number 7. Lizzie. Female dogs are typically much smaller than male dogs, and that's a theme that tends to run across a lot of animals in the animal kingdom. However, Lizzie was determined to make sure that she made her name in the world, and she did. Lizzie measured to be over 96 inches in length. She ended up getting that big by the time she was just 3 years old, and at that size, her owners couldn't measure her with a dog scale anymore, and they had to get a scale that was designed for miniature ponies instead. And she ended up setting the world record for the tallest female dog in the world in 2017. With that size, she needs a lot of food. Because of how tall she is, it's really difficult for her to reach the bowl on the floor, so her owners have to put a bowl on a chair instead, and it's still too low. What's even crazier is that when it comes to water, they've had to move her giant bowl to the garage because she's so massive that when she drinks, the water goes everywhere. No need for a splash pool when Lizzie's around. Number 6. George. Great Danes are known for being pretty big, but there are only a few of them that have been so big that they set world records for their size. And one of the most notable ones is George. George first set the world record for being the tallest dog alive in 2011, and the world was fascinated. When George was measured, it was found that he was an incredible 44 inches from his toes to his withers. But the real size came in when he stood up on 2 feet. Then he measured at 7.5 feet in length and weighed 155 pounds. George is easily tall enough to be a pretty great basketball player. The crazy thing is that despite his ginormous size, George had always been such a sweetheart that he was known as George the Gentle Giant. That wasn't just wordplay. George was actually even a visiting therapy dog at a nearby hospital and would even go visit the patients there on a daily basis. Number 5. Obie. Generally, Dachshunds are just known as cute little sausage dogs that really like to grab the longest stick of all time and take it with them. They're not usually thought about as being large, but Obie had one too many treats and actually ended up getting pretty huge. An average fit for its size Dachshund is around 16 pounds. The heavier ones rarely ever get past 30. Obie was like 2 dogs in one because he was a ridiculous 77 pounds in 2013. His treat-heavy diet brought him to obesity, and he had to be put on a special diet to help him get his summer body back. Well, that's all well and good. We just can't ignore just how adorable this incredible chunk looked at this full size. Number 4. Hong Dong. A lot of people like collecting giant teddy bears and wish that they could come to life and cuddle with them. While that's impossible, there is an alternative: getting a massive fluffy dog. Hong Dong, also known as the Big Splash, is that very dog. This Tibetan Mastiff is one of the biggest, fluffiest dogs you will ever see. He measures around 3 feet in height from toes to withers, but when you take into account all that fur, the measurement ends up coming in twice that size. You might be wondering if a dog that size can be acquired, and it can if you have a casual $2 million laying around the house. Yup, in March 2011, Hong Dong actually set a world record for being the most expensive dog ever sold, selling at an unbelievable price tag of $1.9 million, making him not only one of the largest dogs in the world, but also one with the largest price tag ever. Number 3. Gibson. There will be many large dogs that end up setting records throughout time, but it's unlikely that any of them will make the impact that Gibson made on the world. Gibson, the Great Dane, set the world record for being the tallest dog in the world in 2004, measuring at 44 inches from his toes to his withers, and 7.3 feet in length when he stood up on its hind legs. While the record for being the tallest dog alive seems to be the one that's passed around all the time, there was just something about Gibson that made him different. He became a nationwide sensation, so much so that he became the most covered dog on TV ever. There was no home in the US that didn't know who Gibson was. But despite all of that, he always stayed the sweetheart he was, before he became one of the most famous dogs in the world. Number 2. Zorba. There are some dogs that are big and others that are heavy. Zorba is both. Even though Great Danes are usually the ones that have the upper hand when it comes to heights, Zorba is the one that's the clear winner when you whip out the tape measure and measure her from the tip of her nose to her tail. She was measured for a world record back in 1987 and ended up being a whopping 8 feet and 3 inches long. Thigh height was accompanied by a weight of almost 350 pounds. She wasn't an ordinary dog. She couldn't even be held because she would absolutely crush the person that tried. Even sleeping was so hard for her that her owners got her a custom 9-foot bed to help her be all warm and cozy. Zorba was the longest and heaviest dog alive, but she still jumped around and played with her owners like a regular dog, unaware of her sheer size. Number 1. Hulk. Pit bulls have a reputation for being scary, and that's when they're normal sized. Hulk is the totally not normal sized dog. His head alone is 28 inches wide, and it's impossible to pick him up because he's an unbelievable 180 pounds heavy. But even then, he loves to hug his owners. Not only that, but he's so gentle that his owners refer to him as their nanny dog, and even leave their toddlers with him all the time. Hulk might look like he can smash anyone, but all he really wants to do is attack everyone with a million kisses. Alright, comment down below which one of these giant doggos you would want to see in real life. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Facts Junkie, and we'll see you in the next one.